Basically, in the today's session, we are going to discuss about KNN. Okay, K nearest neighbors. Okay, and we are going to see this algorithm both from Sketch and from the libraries itself. So, how this algorithm is used inside libraries with the help of libraries, and how we can develop this type of algorithm from Sketch, and what's the mathematical institution behind this method. Okay. So what is KNN? KNN is basically an ML algorithm which is basically used to classify points or classify objects. Okay, it is basically used to classify objects in different groups. Okay, so let's suppose if you have 100 students. Okay, 100 students of a school are standing in front of you, and you want to classify them based on their class or based on their age group. Okay, so what we are going to do, how we are going to classify 100 students based on their class? Either we have to go to each and every student and ask them for the class they study, and then they group them accordingly, or we just select random 10 kids which are in the middle of students at 10 different clusters. Okay, we just form 10 different clusters, select the middle kid, ask them the class, and assign all the students around that particular kid as of same class. Okay, so let's first see how this mathematical institution of this KNN work. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, just give me the confirmation at chat you can see my screen or not. Just quickly give me the confirmation, because today we have only one topic which is very short, so we'll wrap up today's class in less amount of time. Okay, can you all see my screen? Just give me the confirmation in chat. Yes, okay, so now let's start. Okay, suppose I have 10 points, okay, on a line. Let me just draw a line. Just let's draw a line. Okay, and now I have 10 points on that particular line, or 5 points or 6 points, whatever I want. So by denoting different color, I'm just denoting different types of group. Okay, so I have here 2 points of same group. Then here I have this 1, 2, 3 points of same group. Let's just give here one more. Okay, now we have 1, 2, and 3 points here of same group. Okay, now this is our base data set, or this is our data set with the result that this data set is divided into 3 categories of points, where we have total of 9 points, 3 of blue color, 3 of yellow color, and 3 of pink color. Okay, now if we don't know the classification, or if we don't know the categories of this point, how this is going to look to us if we don't know the category of these points. Okay, in this previous case we know the categories also, but in this case now we don't know the category. We are just going to plot these points as a black dot. This is how we get our data set, that we don't know the group of our data set, or we don't know the different class in which our data set stays or dataset belongs to. Okay, we don't know the classes in which our dataset belongs to. So what we are going to do, we are going to classify these points based on k nearest neighbor. Now, by looking at this point, okay, I'm just now looking at this points, nothing else. Okay, so by looking at this point, visualization, okay, do the visualization and tell me what do you think that these points should classify in how many groups? Okay, in how many groups we should divide these points? Okay, we can give any answers like one, these all the points are same in they should classify in one group or two groups or three groups or four groups or five groups. So you can take any number. Okay, so that basically that number is k. Okay, k nearest neighbor, that basic number is k. Okay, suppose I am taking the value of k here to be 3. Based on my visualization, I am just taking it to be 3. I can take any value 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to repeat this value, this k, value of k, until unless I'm getting a good accuracy. Okay, I can change this value of k. Now with this value of k, I have taken 3 points. Okay, I am saying that these points should be divided into 3 different groups, and I'm classifying or I'm giving 3 different points. Okay, random 3 different points, whatever the points you like. You can give any amount of point or any at any place randomly. Okay, so I'm saying that my first point is at this particular position. Okay, my second point is at this particular position, and my third point is at this particular position. Okay, my third point is at this particular position. Now, because my third point is at this particular position, I am going to classify the points based on these positions. Okay, I'm going to classify points based on these groups or these positions. This. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm because this point is closest to this point. Okay, so I'm saying that this point and all the points apart from this here, all the points right of this points belong to this same group. Okay, I'm saying that all these points belong to same group because this is the closest category. Okay, this point is the closest category which I have from this data sets. Okay, this point is the closest category which I have from this data sets. That's why I'm saying that all these points, all the points on the right of this category point belongs to this point because it has minimum distance from this category point, and then if we calculate the distance from this point, it's higher than this particular point for all these points. Okay, now if we consider this category point, so all the point closest to this particular category point belong to this category. Okay, let's take this second category, and in this category this point will be definitely of this particular category, which is blue. And if we take this point, it can also come under blue or yellow depending on the distance. Let's assume it that it comes under the blue category. Okay, let's assume it comes under the blue category. Okay, now I'm saying that these 4 points are of category 3 type. Okay, category 3 type. These 2 points are of category 1 type, and the remaining points are of category 1 type. Okay, now let's color also the remaining points also. Okay, now I'm saying that this remaining 3 points are of category 1 type. Now if we compare this our output with our result, okay, because we know the result, if we compare this with this particular data which we have, the original data which has all the categories also, we say we see that we have only classified one point as inaccurate or incorrectly. Okay, we have classified only one point as incorrectly. Okay, so basically this all depends on where we are taking this random category points. Okay, where we are taking this random category points. If we are taking this random category points at any different location, okay, if we are taking this random category points at any different location, then we may get different output. Okay, we may get different output. Let's see how. Let's just again draw points, and I'm again saying that I have that similar 9 points, and I will again divide this particular 9 points in three different categories, but this time the random points will be different. The places where I will be taking my random category points, okay, the random category points will be different. Okay, in reality, we repeat this position of random category points around 300 to 400 times. By default, the value is of 300, that we will do the situation 300 times, and we'll select that point which has the closest distance, which have the shortest distance from the category points. Okay. Now I'm saying that my first category point is here, second category point is here, and third category point is here. Okay. So this will be my yellow. Point will become of yellow category. This second point will become of blue category. Okay. And all the remaining points will be of pink category. Okay, all the remaining points will be of pink category. So in this case, I am getting only one correct output and all the incorrect input. All other points as incorrect output. I am only getting this 3 points as the correct output and this 1 point. Only 4 points. Okay, so I'm getting less than 50% points as correct output and more than 50% points have error. Okay, so you see that this category division of categories basically depends on whether at which place you provide this category points. Okay, at which place you provide this category points. Now we have seen that this particular category point or this particular category position was good. Okay, this was giving me the lowest amount of error. Now we are going to improve this further. Okay, so how we are going to improve this? Okay, let's see how we are going to improve this. So once we get a category point with the lowest error, okay, once we get a category point with the lowest error, we shift the center or we shift the category point inside the center of that particular category or inside or at the middle of that particular category. Okay, so these were my 9 points. Okay, now I'm going to shift this category points. I'm just going to mark this with the blue term. Now you can see that all these 4 points of category 3. So I'm going to shift this category point or the point from where I'm going to calculate the distance is at this particular position. Okay, at the middle of that particular category. Now in case of this, I'm going to shift that at this particular position, and in case of this, I'm going to shift this at this particular position. Now if I going to again check my output, if I'm going to again check my output, I will see that there is no change in the categories. Okay, so I will repeat this step unless and until I receive no change in the category or minimal change. Okay, I will repeat this step unless and until I get no change in the category or I get only a minimal change. Okay, so that minimal change is basically equal to 0.001. Okay, that minimal change is basically equal to 0.001. So now shifting the category points, I am still getting the same output. So I will say that this is my best result, or this is my best output I can get with the help of this algorithm. Okay, because all the points which are given a category has the smallest distance from that particular category point, which is denoted by blue color here. Okay, if we get a change more than this value 0.001, then we again repeat the category points, and then we again move the category points to a new center position. Okay, then we again move this category points to a new center position. Okay, now let's see how this basic institution or how this basic thing works inside our Python, or how this is followed inside our Python. Okay, let's see the output in our Python. Let's try to move further. Okay, now let's move to the. Okay, so I told you that we are going to discuss K and N. Okay, K nearest neighbor. Okay, so this is basically, I've already told you that it's a clustering algorithm. Okay, so what we mean by clustering is that we have a unsupervised learning. Okay, we don't know what is the group of our data, or our data belongs to which particular group. Okay, which is known as unlabeled data. Okay, we don't know the group of the data, which is known as unlabeled data. So we basically divide that unlabeled data into different group. Okay, we try to see here, we try to split the data set into different groups such that the data point in the same group have similar characteristics. Okay, just whatever the group you are going to create should have a similar characteristics, okay, based on which you are creating the group, then the data points from the different group. Okay, so the and it should be different from the data points in the different group. Okay, so the first question which should come in your mind is basically how you are going to find the similarities. Okay, so basically to find the similarities we are going to calculate the distances. Okay, we have already seen we use the distance to group points in different categories. So here also we are dividing, or we are checking the similarities, or we are getting the similarities with the help of distances. Okay, so we use distance matrix to calculate or to compute distance between a point from every other point. Okay, so we calculate distance of one point from all the rest of the points. That point of less distance have a more similar. Okay, so all the points which have a lesser amount of distance from a particular points are known as similar, are known to be similar. Okay, so that particular point will be acting as a centroid. Okay, that particular point will be acting as a centroid for you. Okay, if you calculate distance of 100 points from all, if you have 100 points, okay, to will calculate the distance of remaining 99 points from one particular point. Okay, and all the points which have minimum distance. Okay, Suppose we take a value of 10. So all the points which have distance less than 10 will be classified to a one category. Okay, all the points which have minimum distance of 10 from that particular point will be classified in a one category. Okay, so to calculate the distance, we use the method known as Euclidean distance or Euclidean distance matrix. Okay, so how we calculate Euclidean distance or what we the Euclidean distance is? So you can see if we have 2 points inside space Q and P. So will have coordinate x and y. P will also have coordinate x and y, or Q of P Q1 P1 or Q2 P2. Will calculate the distance of it, Q1 minus P1 and Q2 minus Q2, and do the square of it. Plus again, then we'll do the under root, square root of it. Okay. So basically, this is the distance. This is the distance. You can understand this as being equal to an hypotenuse method also. Equilateral distance is equal to something known as hypotenuse method also. You all know what is hypotenuse method. Okay. So now let's start with k-means, our algorithm. K-mean clustering or KNN, K nearest neighbor, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. Okay. So what is k-means basically? K-means follow an iterative process. Okay. What does what iterative means? We repeat the process again and again and try to minimize the distance. Okay. Try to minimize the distance of the data point from the centroid points. Okay. The centroid points, the points you are going to classify as a centroid, whatever the type of centroid you want. Okay. The centroid point will be equal to the value of k. If you are taking the value of k to be 3, then there will be 3 centroid points. If you are taking the value of k to be 5, then there will be 5 centroid points. Okay. It is used to group the data into k number of clusters based on their similarities. Okay. And equilibrium distance is used to calculate the similarities. Okay. Now let's import the basic libraries like NumPy, Panda, and Matplotlib. You already have learned all the 3 libraries, NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib. Now, firstly, we are going to use the inbuilt matrix or inbuilt method or inbuilt library. Okay. So firstly, we are creating a blob or we are taking a random points. Okay. So we are creating samples. So total we have 100 points, which by default have 5 centers. Okay. Which by default have 5 centers. And then we are plotting that particular points. Okay. So you can see this is our scatter plot we are getting from 100 different points which have 5 different centers. You can see that this is one center, this second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, we are dividing this point into 5 different centers. And you can check that which point belongs to which particular center. So this point belongs to third center, this point belongs to first center, this point belongs to fourth center, and so on. We have the output also. Now, if we want to use the library, we have to just import a simple term from sklearn cluster, import k-means. Okay, we have to just write one simple line, this particular line, and we are able to import this particular library. We're also going to see in the future under this class itself that how we are going to import all this without help of this k-means library. Okay, now inside this k-means library, we have to provide the cluster, the amount of cluster in how much groups we want to divide this point, or in how much group we want to categorize this point. Okay, so from the figure we see that we have 5 different categories. So I'm giving here 5. You can give 1, 2, 3 depending whatever you want. Okay, whatever the visualization is. You can also try with different values, like first take value of k equals to 1, then take value of k equals to 4, then 5, then 10, then 20, whatever you want. You can take different values and check the result. Okay, now we have to fit this point. So all the points on the x which we have plotted in the figure, will be fitted to this k-means algorithm, and we are going to predict the result inside our variable y predict. Okay, we are going to predict the result inside our algorithm y predict, and then we are going to print that y predicted value. See here, I'm printing that y predicted value, okay, with color map as plasma, to be of different color, different plasma color type. Okay, see, so my library is able to categorize this point in 5 different points and based on their centroids. Okay, so if I draw the centroid in these points, the centroid should be somewhere here. The centroid should be somewhere here for this particular group. For this particular group, the centroid should be somewhere here. Then for this particular group, the centroid should be somewhere at this particular position. For this particular group, the centroid should be particularly at this particular position. And for this group, it can be here at this particular position. The centroid is basically the center point. Okay, the centroid is basically the center point. Now moving further, let's see the steps involved in k-means algorithm one by one again. Okay, so how we classify that? So the first thing we have to do is we have to initialize the centroids. Okay, and that too randomly. This is done randomly. We choose k number of points, and the points can be represented in the data set or also random points. Okay, so you have to classify that this will be my centroid, this will be my centroid, this will be my centroid, depending the number of k you have used. Okay, if you have used k equals to 3, then you have to give 3 random centroid points. Okay, so based now in the second step, based on that centroid point, you have to assign the cluster. That based on that centroid point which you have classified randomly, the remaining points belong to which particular cluster. Okay, then move the centroid point in the middle of that particular cluster. Okay, move the centroid point in the middle of that particular cluster and repeat that step unless until you get minimum or no change in your output. So let's see with the help of this figure. See here, in this figure we see that we can take value of k as to be equal to 3 from the visualization. Okay, now we are randomly giving these 3 points to be center. Okay, see, this is my center number 1, this is my center number 2, and this is my center number 3. Okay, so based on this random center points, we are going to categorize the remaining points to the cluster. Okay, so with the help of these center points, when we assign all the points to the closest point of our chosen, we see that we have classified in this particular categories. Okay, now we see that we have assumed this z centroid point to be here, but the points which are classified in the z categories are here. So we'll move this centroid from here to this particular position. In the middle of these points, we'll move this green to this upper portion in the middle of these 2 points, and we'll move this blue to somewhere in the middle here at this particular position. Let me just mark that position at this particular position. Okay, at this particular position, so that we move this blue point in the middle again. Okay, now moving further, now let's move our centroids. So after moving our centroids, we see that blue has moved here, green has moved here, red has moved here, and green has moved up a small portion. Now if we again classify our points, okay, after moving that at this particular position, we see that these two blue points have been now become a part of the z centroid. These 2 points have now become a part of a red centroid. Now we'll move this centroids again in the middle of these points. Okay. Now we'll move this centroids again in the middle of these points. So if we move the centroid again, then blue will be moved here somewhere, red will be moved somewhere here, and green will be moved somewhere here. And with this updated centroid points, we'll get the exact same output which we are getting now. Okay. So we'll say that this is our basically the category or the group in which we want to classify it. Okay. This is basically a category in which we want to classify it. Okay. Hope you all are clear that how this k-means works basically. Hope you all are clear with the mathematical institution, how we select points, how we take categories, how we classify the points based on the centroids, then how we again move the centroids and how we again classify the categories or repeat the step again and again unless and until we get minimum or no change. Okay, hope you all are clear. Please confirm in the chat if you are clear, or if you have any doubt, please ask in the chat. If you have any doubt, please ask in the chat, or if you are clear, then also please confirm in the chat that you are clear with the mathematical institution of k means or k nearest neighbor or k means clustering. Step 4 and 5 in short. Okay. So in step 3, we have seen that by taking these random points, okay, we are dividing these groups or the remaining points in this particular category. That this 2 point will be of that category, this 2 point will be of green category, and this remaining points will be of blue category. Now, when we get the categories, okay, we move our centroid points in the middle of that categories or in the middle of the points which we have categorized. Okay, so we'll move this green centroid from here to the middle of these two green points. We'll move our red centroid from this position. Okay, let me just draw this. This was my earlier position, and I have moved this to this particular position to move it into the middle of this Z points. Okay, and I have moved this blue point from this particular position to here to move these blue points in the middle of all the blue points. Okay, so this is how I have updated my centroid. Now, once you have updated your centroid, you have to again repeat that step number 3, in which with the help of centroid, you have to again classify the all the points based on that centroid. Okay, you have to classify all the points based on the centroid, that all the remaining points is nearest to which particular centroid. Okay, so when I will move my red points from this particular position to other this particular the second position, you can see that these two blue points will now be more closer to this red point. Okay, not the blue point but the red point. Okay, you can see here from this figure. Okay, see, these two red points are now being close, much more closer to the red centroid point. Okay, so now we have again changed the position of our point or changed the category of our point. Now we'll again repeat the step number 4 and 5. Okay, again and again, unless and until we get minimal to no change in the categories of our point. Now, if we again change or if we again move our centroids from this particular position, let's suppose I move this grid point to this particular position, okay, in the center, and I move this Z point to this particular position in the center. I move this blue point to this particular position in the center. Now, if I move it again, okay, at the new centroid position, and again calculate the category, I will again get the exact same result. The categories of all the remaining points won't be changing. Then I will be able to say that I have divided all the points based on their categories. I divided all the points based on my categories, and this is my final result because I'm getting minimal to no change in categories. In this case, I'm getting no change in the categories of the remaining points. Okay, I'm getting no change in the categories of the remaining points. That's what we do in KNN. Now, is it clear to you? Is it clear to you all now? Yes, sir. Thanks. Now let's see how we are going to create this k-means algorithm or k-means from scratch. Let's import the basic libraries like NumPy, Panda, Matplotlib, Seaborn. These are all the visualization libraries and create the random data points. Okay, so I've taken the random data points. But the one I'm taking 100 points with which have 5 centers. Okay, I've taken 100 points which have 5 centers, and the number of time I will iterate, I will try to change, okay, my center or my centroid points. The maximum number of time I'm going to change my centroid points is I am taking the value to be 50. Okay, so this is the maximum number of iteration I'm going to change my centroid points. Means if suppose if after every change you are still getting new and new categories, okay, then there should be a limit na, at which particular after reaching that limit you are not going to change the centroid anymore. Okay, so that limit by default is of 300 iteration. Now in this make the program I'm making, I'm just taking 50 iteration. That at max I will take 50. I will change my centroid point 50 different times. Now let's set the value of k, which is very important. So I'm setting the value of k is equal to 5, and now I'm placing the centroid point at random position. Okay. So for placing the centroid point at random position, I'm importing the random module. Okay, see here, random module, and with random module, I'm using the function known as random.randint. Okay, so if you do the shift and tab between this function random.randint, you will see that you get a random value between a and b. Okay, so I will get a random value between 0 to m minus 1. Okay, see here, m is my all the points in the x-axis. Okay, so I will get a random value between 0 to m, and at that particular point I will place my centroid. Okay, at that particular point I will place my centroid. Okay, now after you have placed the centroid, you have to find the equilibrium distance or the minimum distance of all the remaining points from that particular centroids. Okay, so for that I have created this for loop, okay, to calculate the distance, and I'm storing all the minimum distances, that all the remaining points are getting minimum distance from which particular centroid. Argmin, okay, it gives me the minimum argument position. Okay, all the centroid points are known as arguments, are an argument. So with this help of argmin, you can see shift and tab, return the indices of the minimum value along the axis. Okay, so it will return me the index position of the, it will return me the index position of the all the points. Okay, so at which index position the points have minimum. Okay, the index position means suppose it is getting, because I get in k, equals to 5, it will get index position on 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Let's suppose if I plot this minimum, I'm just print will the output of minimum for you guys. Sorry, just a spelling mistake. Minimum. See, I'm getting the minimum as 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So this is my at fifth argument position, means it is closest to the fifth centroid point. It is closest to the third centroid point. It's closest to the second centroid point. So I'm getting the minimum argument or the minimum index position of all the 100 points. That all the 100 points are closest to which centroid position or which center point. Okay. Now after getting the minimum, okay, I have to regroup the cluster. Okay. I have to regroup the cluster, or what I mean by regroup the cluster is I have to move my centroid in the middle of that minimum points. Okay. So to calculate to move the centroid points in the middle of that cluster, I will calculate the mean. So here I'm calculating the mean here. Okay. See, I'm calculating the mean and assigning the cluster at that particular position. And assigning the cluster, or I'm updating the value of cluster at that particular position. And then again I'm calculating the Euclidean distance. Again, see, I'm again calculating the arg mean. So to get the minimum, okay, and again calculating the arg mean or to get the minimum, and then again changing the values. Okay. See here at this particular position, I'm again calculating the minimum position, and again I'm just changing the centroid point. So you can see that in this particular example, I have changed the centroid point 3 times, and I've calculated the mean 2 times. Okay. If we take the use the library, we used to do or change the centroid point for a maximum of 300 times. Okay. For a maximum of 300 times, you can change that also. You can increase or decrease the that particular value. Now I'm plotting my original data set. This is my original data set, and now I'll plot my categories, the categories in which my program has divided, my k-means has divided, which I have created from scratch. And I will also plot the cluster point, the centroid points. Okay. So you can see I'm dividing, this is my first cluster point, this is my second cluster point, which is correct, third cluster point, fourth cluster point, and fifth cluster point. So this is what I'm able to achieve. This is what I'm able to achieve by changing this to different clusters. Okay. Now we have to take the centroid points randomly. But one more thing which is very important is getting an appropriate value of k. Okay. Getting an appropriate value of k. And to get that appropriate value of k, I have to find a cluster. Okay. I have to find the cluster, or I have to find the error. Okay. So what I'm doing in this here is basically I'm using an elbow method, which is used to find the optimal value or the most useful value or the minimum value of k, for which I will get the least error or the least amount of loss. Okay, so I have to select a value of k, minimum value of k, for which I will get the least amount of loss. Okay, so again here see I'm plotting. Okay, I'm plotting the different values of k. I'm taking the value of k from range 1 to 20. I'm taking all the values of k from 1 to 20 and I'm plotting it with the error. Okay, so you can see that the error is rapidly decreasing. Okay, rapidly decreasing to 3, then 4, and then 5. And after 5, we have a slight change inside the error as we increase the value of k. Okay, we don't have significant change in the value of error after the value of 5. So we'll choose the value of k to be 5. So you can see that this structure is someone similar to your elbow or to your hand. If you consider this your hand, then this is the elbow point. Okay, this is the elbow point, and the elbow point, the value you are getting is 5. So that's why we are selecting the value of k to be 5. Okay, this is known as elbow method, which is basically used to get the optimal value of k. Okay, any doubt to anyone? If you don't have any doubt, then we'll proceed with an example. Then we'll see this again with a new example. If you have any doubt, just please let me know in the chat. If you have any doubt till now, please let me know in the chat. Okay, so if you don't have any doubt, let's move with an example. Okay, so see here, I'm taking here different weather condition, that the weather is either sunny, overcast, or we have clouds. Basically overcast means either the weather is rainy. Okay, so we have three weather conditions: sunny, overcast, and rainy. And the temperature, in temperature we have also have again three conditions: hot, mild, and cool. Okay, so depending on that, we are telling a group of students whether they can go to for playing outside or not. So if the weather condition is sunny and temperature is hot, the students cannot go outside to play. Okay, but if the weather condition is overcast but still the temperature is hot, they can go outside to play. Okay, if the weather condition is rainy and the temperature is mild, then the students can also again go to play. Okay, but if the weather condition is rainy and the temperature is mild, then students cannot go out for play. So we have taken this target values, or we have taken this different value. So based on weather and temperature, these two values, I am getting an output whether I should play or not. Okay, so based on these two values, or based to these two features, the first feature being weather and the second feature being temperature, I'm able to decide whether I should go out for play or not, or I should let that group of students to go outside for play or not. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm just encoding it. Okay, see, with the help of inbuilt library sklearn.import precursor, I'm label encoding it. So what the label encoding means is I'm giving these labels a particular numerical value. So for sunny, I'm giving value 2. For overcast, I'm giving value 0. And for rainy, I'm giving value 1. Okay. See, I'm changing the weather, encoding the weather, and I'm printing the encoded output. Now, in the same way, I'm also encoding the temperature. Okay, if I if you want, you can print the temperature output also. So in temperature, I'm also again giving the value 0, 1, 2. I just print, let's print temp underscore encoded. Okay, and see again I'm getting the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now based on this encoding, I'm changing my label also. Okay, see in output or in the label I'm getting the value 0 or 1. So 0 means no play and 1 means play. So I can go output for playing. Okay, I'm classifying that both. I'm combining both the features, weather and the temperature inside the features with the help of zip function, which adds to list. Okay, which adds to list all the elements of to list one by one. See here, 2 1 2 1 0 1 0 1 2. This first thing is weather condition, and the second thing is temperature condition. Now I'm using this KNN, K nearest neighbor, and I'm taking the value of neighbors to be 3. Okay, I'm using the inbuilt module. Now I'm fitting these values of features and label inside my model, and now I'm able to predict whether I should go out to play or not. Not for that particular data only, for the future data also. Okay, so for, let's suppose I am taking the weather condition to be 2. So 2 means hot weather. Okay, and let's take this 2 again to be 2. Then 2 means mild temperature outside. Then the output is I cannot go out for play. So for hot temperature and mild outside temperature, I cannot go out for play. But if I have mild temperature or mild, the weather is rainy. Okay, the weather is rainy and still the temperature is mild. Can I go out for play? Yes, I can go out for play. If the temperature is rainy or if the weather is rainy and the temperature outside is mild. Now, if the temp of the weather outside is overcast and the temperature is mild, then I can go out for play. Okay. So not for that particular points only, for all the future points also, I can classify that whether I should go out for play or not, depending on the weather condition and the temperature condition. Okay. Depending on the weather condition and the temperature condition. Any doubt to anyone till now? Any doubt to anyone till now? If you have any doubt, please let me know in the chat. If you guys have any doubt, please let me know in the chat. Okay. So if you guys don't have any doubt, we'll end our session today here only. We'll give you a data set. We'll give you both the codes of for Scratch and for the label, and we'll give you a data set. Try to implement the KNN or K nearest neighbor on that particular data set for different values of K, and try to plot graph that what value of K is best for that data set. Okay, try to plot a graph of that what value of k is best for that particular data set. Okay, okay. Then thank you everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll end our session today here.